to the Farmers After Hours Control and Acceptance mini-series with Barb Smith of the Suicide Resource and Response Network. Thank you for taking time to join us, Barb, and I'll let you go ahead and introduce yourself and hop into content.
Sure. Well, thanks for having me today, and thank all of you for joining me today to hear my message. I am the Executive Director and the founder of the Barb Smith Suicide Resource and Response Network, and I've been in this field and working this field, living in this field for over 31 years. And this is really the first time that myself and many of us leaders in suicide prevention have been recognizing the need and the concern for the farming community and really the need for more support. So my hope is that just over this short time that we are not only going to work to be supportive to this community, but we're also going to do it for the years to come. You know, we don't want this to go away. So I'm here because I lost my brother John to suicide when he was 20 years old. We never thought that our family would ever experience anything like this. This was not in our family. We were strong-willed people. We're resilient, people of faith. This doesn't happen to people like us. And then what happened is it happened again. My 43-year-old sister-in-law took her life. I made this my mission and my passion to make sure that I went out into the community and brought in the importance of mental health and suicide prevention out into the open. I feel very strongly that we not only need to recognize when someone's thinking about suicide or struggling with their mental health, that we not only need to notice it and recognize it, but we need to teach people how to respond to it. As I was in denial in my family that this would never happen to us, especially like this just doesn't happen to good people. I oftentimes wonder if this isn't the same message and the same thought that people in the farming community have. We're strong people. We handle things on our own. We don't do that. We'll handle this, right? We'll handle this. But here's the problem is this very attitude that if we don't change the stigma around mental illness and suicide, we're going to continue to lose people. And I'm not going to stand, and I hope you don't just stand and watch that happen. We have an opportunity because what we know is farm stress is really a major factor. And we can't just tough it all out. We can't just deal with it on your own. We know that this attitude is really hurting people. We know that depression and anxiety can be an outcome from stress. And we know the stress that's going on in the farming community right now are different than anything ever had experienced before. We know that depression and anxiety can impact your brain and the way that your body reacts to it. This isn't anything different, this isn't anything we've experienced before. And I truly believe that it's not going to be pull your boots up by the bootstrap anymore. These are different times. This is more challenging. And we have to change our attitude to meet these changing times if we're going to decrease the numbers of suicide. We're going to lose our friends, our family, and ourselves. We need to make sure that in our communities, in the farming community, that you give yourself grace and you give grace to someone who else is struggling. It's not about tough up. It's not about buck up, buttercup. This is about being supportive and understanding and not judgmental. And I do believe that us city folks, we haven't walked in your boots. We haven't walked in your shoes. This is the time that the ag community actually comes together and be much more vigilant for each other. You know, we keep hearing the news say we're all in this together. And I think the statement is intended to help us not feel so alone. What I really want to say is, although we're all in this together, we're all in a different boat. So we might be in the same storm, but we're in a different boat. We have different needs. We have different equipment. We have different experiences. We have different financials. We have different support, experiences, resiliency, and different brain chemistry. So these times are different for everybody, and our response is going to be different even for ourselves. The farming industry has more barriers than they've ever had and more challenges. I don't know if you agree with that, but that's what I'm totally hearing. There's more barriers than ever, but yet the ag community is getting smaller, although these problems are getting bigger. We know that the stressors can cause changes in your brain chemistry. It causes the change in the way you think, the way you behave, and your health. This is not about being strong, and it's not about just being weak. This is about the stress level has increased beyond anything that we've ever experienced before. And I'm not going to repeat all the things. I mean, I am not in the farming industry. You all know where your stressors are at, and we need to give ourselves grace and to give other people grace. So I'm going to give you a list of things that I really want you to think about for yourself and or maybe a family member or someone else down the street. Let's look at this list, and I want you to think about, have you recognized any of these things in yourself or someone else? So maybe more for health. Maybe you're getting sick more often. You've got chronic pain going on. You stop caring for the farm or the livestock. You're almost giving up the hope that it's ever going to get better. More injuries due to fatigue or lack of concentration. Irritability, or maybe you're angry more often. Maybe you've noticed this person who's always just been quiet and easy. All of a sudden they start having tempers and more anger and agitation. You're going to notice maybe more sleeping, change in sleep, which is you're sleeping more, sleeping less, weight gain, weight loss. Anxiety is really recognized as a person who cannot rest. They tend to isolate and they feel distressed all the time. Even when they're at rest, they have a lot of stuff going on inside of their mind. It's like they can't stop thinking about it. They can't focus on anything else. Less concentration. And then we start to see a change in routine. What used to be important no longer is. If you think yourself, or you hear anyone else say that their family's better off without them, number one, it's a self-talk. It truly is what a person might believe, and it might be what your brain is telling you due to the stress that you have. It's not allowing you to see beyond what's going on today. If a person has 2 or 3 of these things going on for more than 2 or 3 weeks, and I really want you to think about that, maybe it's time to get some other resources, outside resources for yourself or for your family member. But also I want you to understand that if the person doesn't fit in any of these categories, or they're not having, these concerns or symptoms for a checklist, think about a change in behavior for the individual, or that something is going on within you that's just different. You don't really name it, you can't really understand it, but something just seems different or off. It's really worth checking into. It's important that we want to understand what's different about this person before it gets to be suicide, or before it gets to be something worse. If somebody is changing, it means there's something inside of them changing, and it can be good and it can be bad. But if we don't recognize it, what happens is people start to feel more alone and isolated because they think people don't care. But in reality is, maybe they don't know what to say. So when you have a concern for someone or recognize something is changing, this is the time to have a deeper conversation. It's okay to have a deep conversation. It's not all mushy, right? It's not that space of, oh, this guy, don't do that. Like, we're tough. This is about letting this individual know that I hear your pain, I see you struggling, and I care enough to ask you. I don't want you to die. The reality is, if your friend or your family member or you were having symptoms of a heart attack, you would reach out and get help. You would call the paramedics. You would call somebody else because you recognize this person could die. We need to think about it in that same concept of, if this person's stress level is so high, it's distorted their thinking and allowing them to believe that death is easier than life. We have a responsibility to help save their life. And it's okay to get outside help, because if we don't acknowledge their change, that person might feel like they're more alone than they thought, or simply that no one cares. There is no shame, and I know we talked about this earlier, there is absolutely no shame in asking for help or giving help. In my opinion, and I work with a lot of law enforcement, I work with first responders, I work with farming community and construction companies, what we need to understand is it takes courage, it takes strength, and it takes trust. When you disclose or you share that, life is harder than it's ever been before, number one, you're validating to yourself that I'm not weak. It's just different than it's ever been before. And for your friend, imagine the trust that you just showed them in your friendship, in your relationship. It is an honor when I have anybody share their thoughts of struggles with me. I truly look at it as an honor that number one, that they trusted me to know that I was not going to judge them, and that they trusted me to know that I was going to do right by them when they didn't know what else to do. So look at it two ways. It's really a trust and a respect for your friendship and relationship when you're willing to have that conversation to say, what's going on? What do we need to talk about? And I'm here to listen. And that's the most powerful statement that anyone can do for people that we care about. And what's going on in the community is we're such a rural area, and we talked about the ag communities getting smaller. Your support system and network can be very small, or we can find ways to build that network of safety. So if you yourself are struggling and you need extra support, or you're a friend, some simple tools that are going to help you instead of hurt you could look like just simple things like having somebody work beside you throughout the day. So you don't feel so alone in your thoughts. Have somebody be in the same room, because oftentimes when we're in that space of darkness, we feel very alone and isolated. Putting on the radio or music in the background that's uplifting, because then you're feeling connected to humanness instead of isolation. Making sure that the music, the radio, the TV is not negative. When you're in that space, like I have not watched the news. I just tell my husband, tell me when I can leave my house and tell me what I can do. I can't put myself in all that negative energy anymore. I can't do it. It's not healthy. So protect yourself from that. Making sure that the music is positive and energetic. Many quick vacations. You don't have to go for 4 days. Literally 20 minutes a day can give you a moment of reprieve. Short things that you used to love to do, give yourself permission to do it. Many vacations can be very short term, because when you engage with your family with good times, when your class is full and your head is so full of stress, if you don't insert moments of reprieve, all that happens is your cup gets so full that it overfills. And it doesn't have to be trips to Disney World. It can literally just be sitting out somewhere and talking about something besides the farm, the money, the finances, and stress. It can be very simple things that you can do. Hang out with a friend that understands the stress that you are living as well. But also stay away from alcohol and substance. It has never been helpful in my experience when a person is struggling with their mental health to encourage or support alcohol or self-medication. So if your friend is struggling, don't offer them the beer. What we know is it actually increases the depression and the stress in the home that already is, and it causes a lot more conflict than you can ever imagine. And the next thing that I really want you to do is to think about how you can keep yourself safe and to keep your friend safe for now. This is not about taking away their guns and their rights. This is about when a person is vulnerable and they're struggling, that we don't want this to be a quick response in that moment of desperation. So making sure that your medications are locked up, but most importantly, asking someone to take care of your guns until you're in a better place. Or maybe if you're a friend, to say, hey, let me take care of your guns for a bit. I'll keep them safe. And when you're ready, you let me know. It's about keeping someone safe and also protecting yourself. If you have any concern with anyone, it's not about taking away their control. It's about reminding them that I care enough to help you figure out how to keep yourself safe. So that's number one. If you're that support person, the greatest gift that you can do is listen, listen, and listen. I always say God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Listen twice as much as you speak. Because most people who are struggling with life just need to talk about it, they need to process it, and they need to be heard. We don't want anybody to fix us. We don't need a quick Band-Aid. We really just need somebody to hear to help us figure out what to do next. Most often, we all got the tool. We can figure it out. We just need somebody to get those thoughts out of our mind and into a place that we can make sense of it. So the greatest gift that you can do as a friend is to help remove the me and to be the listener. You know, we'll fix our equipment, right? You fix your tractors, we fix our equipment because we want to make sure that we're giving the best quality at the quickest time and the best delivery, right? Oh, that's what we do. You fix your equipment, you maintain your farm. So if you want to maintain yourself, for you, your family, and your farm, so you can deliver the best yourself to the people that you're serving. If you think that it's time to do extra maintenance right now for you or your family, and you need some added resources, what I did is I pulled up a list of things because one person oftentimes can't just do it all. Sometimes you need outside resources, and we're going to teach you how to connect this person or yourself to somebody in the community that can better serve you or to help you get through these times. So very simple. We have some people that we use. I don't know if you've met Ned before. Oh my gosh, from Agribility. He is the nicest man who really has a lot of resources for you, and he's more than willing to help you with whatever needs that you have. And if he can't help you, he will find someone who can. Farm Aid, your Farm Crisis Center, MSU Extension. There's a 24-hour crisis line, 1-800-273-TALK. There's a text line, which I find to be most effective, is 741-741. They seem to be a little bit quicker right now. List Psychological, and just because I'm from the Great Lakes Big Region, they actually have a lot of, they have services in the Thumb area, and they do something called telepsychiatry, where if you can't get to them, they can do some counseling over the phone in your own safe space. It actually lessens the time for you to drive, and it's so they can come to you at your own place. So List Psychological, if you're in the Thumb area or Great Lakes State area. And then we also have the Great Lakes Bay Health Center or CMU College of Medicine or CMU Health. They have multiple locations, which also has people who have insurance and who are uninsured. But if they can't help you, they will find someone who can. The number one thing is to realize is that you're not alone, that there are a lot of resources, but I am not pushing like Agribility, but I just think there's such a humanness and a connection to someone who understands the work that you do and the stresses that you have, and very personable. So the next thing that I want to offer you is we're doing trainings, and that was one of the reasons you asked me to come today, is we're doing trainings called Assist, Safe Talk, and something called Spark. And these are quick trainings. Assist is 2 days, so we're only doing those. They're actually doing one up in Northern Michigan today, and we're going to hopefully start opening up and doing the 2-day trainings. And the Safe Talk training is a half a day. There are people all over the state of Michigan and the country who offer all of these trainings. So we can come wherever you live, and we will come to your place if you're comfortable. The Safe Talk is a half a day training because we talked about the farming community being small and rural. So if there's not a lot of outside resources, we need to teach you, your community, your family, and your resources how to be helpful and what to do. So Safe Talk is half a day. Start as an online, 60 to 90 minutes. You take it at your convenience, anytime you want. It's just you and your computer. Excellent training. In our organization, the Suicide Resource and Response Network, we're offering you guys free training. Whoever wants it, if they get a hold of you or myself, we would love to sponsor you any of these licensing for the start. So we will gift any of your people that call us or call you. We purchase some of the licensing and we believe in it so much that we would like to offer this to all of your listeners as well. Okay. And to know that the 1-800-273-TALK and the text line are both 24/7. From us, the Suicide Resource and Response Network, we want to be your resource if you've lost someone to suicide. If you need a resource, you need to talk any of this through. You're welcome to call us and we're going to help you. I actually have been appointed to the Governor's Suicide Prevention Task Force, our commission. So I'm representing groups on the Governor's Commission. And I recommended at our last meeting that we have a focus group on the farming community. And they agreed. We are going to have a focus group to help understand how we can support the farming community. You deserve it. We need to have a voice. And although I'm not a farming community person, you know how much I've cared for you guys, and I would like to be your voice. So anyone listening today, if you have any thoughts for me that you'd like me to share on your behalf, when we start the subcommittee, I would like to invite someone also to join us. I can see the start of the conversation, but I think we need someone from your field, someone from your ag community to help us develop some policies, procedures, and some more support for all of you. Something that I really want to push and that I really am supporting is the telepsychiatry and telehealth. That is where you call in and you can get the healthcare services that you need, whether it's for mental health or physical health. So I understand there's barriers, there's financial barriers, there's distance and lack of resources in rural areas. We need to fix that. And I'm here to commit to you, all of you, that we want to be your voice and we need to hear you. So please call us. Know that we thank you for all that you do and for feeding our families and for the hard work and dedication we owe all of you. Thank you for listening to me today.